Hello everybody, it's Josie here. I'm going to be doing my TBR for the Readathon that I'm taking part in this month, and my t-shirt might be a bit of a clue, but it is the Queer Lit Readathon. It is my favourite readathon. I read a hell of a lot of Queer Lit anyway, but always the months of June, July and August are my kind of bonanza in Queer Lit. So June we've got the Queer Lit Readathon, July we've got the run up to Pride, which happens here in August, so then it's Pride month. So I get really into all of my kind of Queer Lit books, and really my TBR for June, my other TBR, so my standard TBR, very heavy on the Queer Lit, and obviously this one will be as well because this is actually for the Readathon. This round of the Readathon is hosted by 3 people, so it's by Yvette, by Kathy and by Rogan, and I'll link their channels down below. And they have put together a really cool kind of bingo board in terms of different challenges, and I've tried to cover most of the challenges on that bingo board with my selections. Quite a few books here. The Readathon runs between the 2nd and the 8th of June, so it's a week-long Readathon. I don't know if I'll be able to get to all of these. What I will say is if I can't get to them in that kind of Readathon week, I'm going to read them anyway as part of my TBR for the month. So these are the books that I am planning to read. So the first one over here is actually not the actual book I'm going to read, but because I want to hold something up. It's the second book in this series. So this is The Circle. The book I'm waiting for, and Amazon tells me it's on its way, is The Fire, which is the second book in the trilogy. And this is for the category translated fiction and also sci-fi fantasy. So this series is basically about a group of witches, teenage witches, and it's set in Sweden. It's translated from the Swedish, and obviously it's fantasy because it's about witches. They discover they've got powers, they've got to fight the big bad. I really like it. I really like the kind of combination of Scandi noir with kind of classic teen witch drama. And there's some great kind of friendships, and there's also some great queer elements in this book, and I really love it. So this is going to be the translated and sci-fi fantasy one. The other one, actually, while we're talking about sci-fi fantasy, that I really want to read, but again, I don't think I'm going to get to it within the week, but it would fit the fantasy element, is The Lost Coast, which is the new Amy Rose Capetta book. And again, I actually need to order that. I think it's just come out. And that is basically about a group of queer witches, which just sounds, hello. If a book could have been written to my specifications, that would have been it. So that might pass the key depending on what comes first, but that's the first one. The second one, so this book over here covers 3 challenges. This is A Study in Honor by Claire O'Dell. So this one covers the disabled main character category because one of the characters here, I think it's the Watson character, and I have read this book, is the Watson, yeah, it's the Watson character. She has a robotic arm. So this is kind of like a retelling of Sherlock Holmes, but with 2 female leads, 2 women of color, queer women, and it's post-apocalyptic. It is fantastic. I have actually read this book, so this is a reread for me, and the reason I'm kind of using it is that, like I said, it's got a disabled main character. It's also got a person of color as the main character in this book, and also there's one category where you can set your own challenge, and that was I'm going to use it as a reread challenge. The second book in the series is coming out in July, so that's the reason I want to reread this, because I read this a while ago, and I kind of want to familiarize myself again with the characters and the setting so that I can then enjoy the second book in the series. The next book I'll be reading is We Are Okay by Nina LaCour. Love Nina LaCour. Everything Leads to You is one of my favorite kind of YA beautiful queer romance books. This one sounds a lot sadder. So you have the main character, Marin, who has suffered a loss. She's coming back to college, I believe. She's dealing with her loss. She's dealing with her emotions. She's dealing with herself. Obviously, there's a queer aspect in this as well. It just sounds really, really beautiful. And this book I've picked for the Own Voices category. The next one is All the Invisible Things by Oleg Collins. This one fits in the category for rainbow cover, because like how much more rainbow could you get on one cover? It is beautiful, it matches my top. So this one, oh my god, so you've got your main character, Vetty, who's kind of been keeping the secret that she's bisexual. And she's kind of finally had enough of that, and she's come back to New York. So she's been away, she's come back to New York, I believe it is. Yeah, and she wants to kind of be out and proud and live her life the way she wants to live her life. So I just think it sounds really beautiful. I expect there to be emotion, but I expect it to be quite an uplifting, hopefully lovely book. It's perfect for Pride. It's perfectly covered for this challenge. So yeah, definitely have to get to that one. Then the next one I've got here, this covers the trans spectrum and the historical fiction. So this is The Danish Girl by David Ebershoff. Again, I think I must be the only person that hasn't seen the film, because I've always wanted to read the book first and I haven't gotten around to it. So this is actually one of those books that's been sitting on my TBR for ages, and this is the perfect opportunity to read it. So this is definitely one I need to get to during the readathon. And The Danish Girl is a kind of, this isn't an autobiography, but it's based on the real life of one of the first transgender male to female people. And I expect this to be quite gut-wrenching. I expect this to be thought-provoking and interesting. Also, the relationship between the two women in this book. So before the main character transitioned, this was his wife, and how she deals with that. So it's just, I think it's going to be beautiful. I think it's going to be really tender and gorgeous to read, and I'm really looking forward to that one. Then the next one is a new author and a book in which you see yourself. And I picked Love Story for Bewildered Girls. So that might tell you a bit about me, but so this one, it just sounds like a fun book. So you've got Grace. I really like the cover here. So, well, the cover synopsis. So it basically says Grace is the main character and she leads a quote unquote full and interesting life, which basically means she's not married, she doesn't have any kids, she's focusing on her career. And I always find that that's something that sometimes quite gets looked down on. I think when you hit a certain age, when you hit 30, people just expect you to have married and have kids. Well, some people, not all people, but it's, so yeah, an interesting life. And then she's kind of navigating all of this, and then she meets a woman at a party, and she falls just desperately in love with this woman at first sight. And like I said, I really identify with this book. So I think it's going to be fun. I think it's funny, which I think is good. Yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to this. This is another one that I definitely have to get through during the readathon, because I just think it's going to be a great read and a fun one as well. And then the last one that I've got is this gorgeous book over here. It's also very heavy. Is Buffering by Hannah Hart, and this is the non-fiction challenge. So Hannah Hart is a YouTuber. She does this series is called My Drunk Kitchen. She's very openly out and proud, and this is basically her autobiography. And again, what really drew me to this, it says, these are tales of family, faith, mental health, lesbian sex, and my ongoing journey to love myself and not just my selfies. How great is that? So again, I think this is going to be uplifting. I think it's going to be really interesting. And I managed to find this gorgeous, I'm pretty sure not read at all, hardcover, like first edition in a charity shop, which I was really excited about. So yeah, that is my non-fiction read. So those are my books for the readathon. I am so looking forward to it. I love this readathon. It's my favorite. And yeah, I will keep you all updated on what I'm reading. I will let you know how those went and what I thought of them. Let me know if you're taking part. Let me know what you're reading. Again, any recommendations always welcome. And I will speak to you all very soon. Bye-bye.